Hello everyone, I hope you find yourselves well. I'm MJ Hobby Corner, Martin, and in this video I would like to show a Battlefield snapshot, which is basically a very short update of a game showing only highlights of that game. So for today, we are playing a mini campaign on my Patreon. So for anyone interested in any of the full games that I present here on the channel, you can check out our Patreon. Also check out the magazine Scratch Builder Monthly. That's where I put all the building crafting for any of these games. That's where it goes in my magazine. I'm playing a homebrew campaign, and I generally love to play monsters and other creatures when I'm playing either war games, and sometimes even my RPGs. I prefer to play from the perspective of something other than humans. And so in this particular game, we're playing the role of a minotaur, and you've probably seen snippets of it here in the channel. But it's a very homebrew campaign. It uses a handmade map. It uses a variety of little techniques that come, little snippets of other systems that I've hack and slash and put together. And it also uses a Song of Blades and Heroes rules for all campaign rules, the older edition, and advanced Song of Blades and Heroes only for the combat. So it's an interesting combination of many different things. So the first thing in any war game, we have to introduce the war bands. So here it is. These are the two war bands. For my war band, we have a harpy hunting pack. That is a matron harpy with her 3 huntresses, her daughters. So this new pack, thanks to patrons who voted on it, is now part of this war band. Next, we have 2 goatmen warriors, and these are also grunts. So that was the grunt component, and I'm playing the Minotaur and his forces. And the enemy are the Northkin, which is this combination of different tribes of humans and elves and ice trolls and all that good stuff. Next, we're going to see the personalities of the warband. There are 3 of them. And Advanced Song of Blades and Heroes and all of these Song of Blades and Heroes games, they have this distinction between personalities and grunts. So it's a cool thing. It's the same thing that we see in the game Deep Wars, Shadow Sea, and various other games. The personalities in my warband are Gedrick, the shaman, right here, represented right here. Of course, Taurus Ironmane, our Minotaur, and Vale. She is a fawn archer and is also considered a personality. For my enemy, this is the grunt force of the enemy warband. We have 2 human Northkin warriors right here. We have a hyena man archer. He is also a grunt. And we have a Yeti warrior who is also a grunt. The personalities for the enemy warband are an ice troll shaman right here. We have a mounted female warrior. She is the commander of the warband. And we have an elf hunter with a net. And that net is going to be troublesome because it has the special trait Entangle. So I think I'm going to have to wipe out that elf first. So these are all the personalities in the enemy warband. So before I can start the game, there is a little map phase that I go through. And there I kind of, first and foremost, we have to roll initiative to see who gets to act. In this case, my Minotaur won initiative. So now I can sit down with the map and actually plan out where his forces are going to go. So in this clip, what we see is how the different leaders of each of those forces, including the Minotaur himself, which territories they occupy. This game is interesting because it came out of a discussion that I was having on my Patreon last year about maps and how I use maps in my war games and how I add narratives and all that stuff to my map-based games. And this is all for solo wargaming, not necessarily for like two-player. And I decided instead of going through a whole, 3 or 4 episodes of just me talking about the maps, why not just play the game and show how I incorporate the maps? And that's how this campaign was born. So check out the little map phase that I have here. So just to clarify, Cortec is the war chief on our Minotaur's left flank, and that is the territory of the Iron Peak. So his warband, his force is defending that territory. And then we have our Minotaur, our prime character, and he is defending the Avangard Forest. This is the base camp of his force. And then we have Mortisar, and Mortisar is a new war chief that we've recently detailed, and he's a big goat man, big powerful goat man. Taurus, Cortec, and Mortisar. Name generators are a wonderful thing. I use some of my RPG name generators from a lot of the books that I use for my RPGs. Crystal Peak is already set, and now let's roll on these random cards. So for me, this was a very important part in the game, and this is the second game, a third game rather, because we did have a side quest that patrons voted on. But all the games follow these same steps. I have it all written down so that I follow the same steps throughout the games. And one of the interesting things is the card thing is not really unique. I haven't made that up. That's part of, you have some historical war games that use a similar system to place your terrain a little bit more randomly. And so this is a good way of doing it when playing solo, because this way I can just place my terrain in areas where the dice dictates. So the cards, I have a number of 1 through 8. I have a joker, which represents like dangerous terrain. The cards are shuffled, and then I place them out in like a grid. And then when I turn them over, I just use an 8-sided dice and roll up the position of the terrain. But the idea is that a mountain has many different environments according to its elevation. We're playing in the Crystal Peaks, which is the highest elevation. There's no trees. There's only rock. There's a lot of snow. And then you have these magical crystals, which I had to make the day before. So basically, I have a little diagram of the mountain, which gives me all of the different environments, and then a little terrain pool for each of those environments. Okay, and for the Joker card, which is dangerous terrain, this rock here has been placed, and there is an earth elemental that is guarding that piece of terrain. Taurus and his warband are deployed in a relatively tight formation, with Taurus Ironmane on the frozen pond, followed by Gedrick right next to him, the spellcaster. We have Vale and the 2 Goatman warriors up in front, and then we have the Harpy matron and her pack all the way in the flank of the formation. So the scenario I played came out of the Song of Blades and Heroes campaign book, and it was called Powerhouse. And I prefer a lot of the things in Song of Blades and Heroes than in Advanced Song of Blades and Heroes. I just like the way the older edition is set up. So I picked up, so the campaign book, a lot of the stuff for this game came out of that book. So the Powerhouse scenario, basically you have this terrain that I pick, which is going to be the magical powerhouse. And so it made a lot of sense because I have this peak, which has these magical crystals growing out of them. Nobody really knows what the crystals do, but they are a storehouse of magical energy. And yeah, so that was basically any spellcaster that comes base-to-base contact with that peak, their magic is greatly boosted, okay? So that scenario made a lot of sense for what I was trying to do, and so that's what I played. The other conditions were that if I lost any side that lost 3 personalities or more than half their warband, the game ends right away. So this way I wasn't like, prolonging the game too much. It worked out pretty good, I think. Okay, the first turn is over in this round, and Taurus Ironmane's forces have moved forward on this in this area. The bulk of his forces. We have Taurus Ironmane over here. All of his forces did very well with the quality rolls, and I was very conservative, giving 2 dice to each figure until I got to the hunting pack here. I gave them 3 dice because they were the last figures to move, and they are using the leader trait, the matron's leader trait, to move in a group. So the enemy is also moving very slowly. Thankfully, I didn't have a lot of failures, so they didn't get to react. And we have our magic user right here sneaking up towards to come base to base with that peak and get himself some power. So the core system between A Song of Blades and Heroes and Advanced Song of Blades and Heroes is the same. The differences come in a lot of the things that were added in Advanced. And combat, one of the major differences is that in Advanced, if I fail a roll, right, an activation roll, if I give my model some activation dice, I have to base it on successes and failures. Every model has a quality. And so I do a quality test. If I fail, let's say I fail 1 roll, I give them, let's say, 2 activation dice. I fail 1 and succeed in 1. The opponent has a chance to take that 1 failure and react before I can act. And so that's the big difference. You don't have that in A Song of Blades and Heroes. Otherwise, they're the same. Yeah, there's other differences. There's a lot of other differences in the magic, a lot of details added to Advance that you don't have in A Song of Blades and Heroes. But all in all, I still like a lot of the all the expansions and things in Song of Blades and Heroes. And what I do is I use them interchangeably. By the way, I don't always show it, but reactions do require a quality check, and leaders, any model within a long stick of a leader, gets the +1 leader bonus. So here's the leader. So that helped these models a lot when they were doing their reactions. None of them failed it, just in case you were wondering. All right, let's begin now with actions. Things, so many little rules to keep track of when you're playing solo. And I mean, you're playing both warbands. You're also trying to make decisions for the AI as best you can. I usually use, I take OPR's AI, which is very simple, and I kind of use that in my head to determine, you know, how the figures move very loosely, right? So I'm adding a lot of different things to the game, and it's very easy to, you know, screw up rules here and there, especially if you're playing by yourself. So I don't care. I just keep going. I mean, if I worry about every single rule and getting every single rule right, I might as well be playing a tournament where those kinds of things are important. But narratively, I just keep going. I take note of everything that's going on in the game, and later after the game, I go over those things and check what things I had right and what things I may have wrong. You know, and that's how I progress. But the main thing is to keep playing and have fun. That is correct. The Goat Man recoils by the shot and hits his leader, which is behind him, and he actually falls prone. So he is prone as he is knocked back by the blow. Because the spell is being cast at power 2, it is medium range. So yes, more than enough range for a Taurus. And that's kind of the deciding factor for the power of the spell, is the range. So now my Minotaur has to roll 2 die. It is a quality check, a 1 die per power point of the spell in order to resist. He is quality 3. Yes! He resists! He fights it off. Take that, you shaman. Oh, I'm coming after you. Ha 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 ha. Not quite doubled, but she is knocked off the mount. She is prone. And all right, I'm gonna check a few things. That changes things pretty well. That elemental, ooh. So in the middle of the board, you had this great big elemental by the rock, and it wouldn't move, it wouldn't go anywhere. But anything that came within a short stick of it was attacked. And interestingly enough, the enemy, the mounted commander, being that this was the closest enemy, goes towards the elemental, and a battle ensues. And then later, the Yeti moves in, and it basically they stay there fighting the entire game. They can't get each other down. It was interesting. Yeti swings a large stone at the earth elemental, and it blocks with its bulk. Okay, nothing happened. And then the highlight of the entire game, a gruesome kill that created a domino effect of things. This gets +5, +1 for being big on the black die. He is combat 4, so +5 on the black die. And the hyena man only gets +2 because he's not using his bow. He's forced to melee. Yes! 4 + 5 is 9. 1 + 2 is 3, and that... Oh, wait a minute. So that is a gruesome kill. Yes, that is a gruesome kill. And Taurus cleaves the head off the hyena man gruesomely. All right, everybody's going to take a morale check, whoever needs to take one. Nobody here is fearless, so everybody's going to take a morale check after the gruesome kill. Yes. Well, that was a pivotal moment in the game. Every game has a certain pivotal moment, right? Well, that was it. The game continued for another couple of rounds. This is where part 1 of the game actually ended, and then episode 2 came after that. So if you want to see the whole game, you want to see what happened in part 2, check out our Patreon for sure, or like and subscribe, and I'll have tons of updates here as well on future games like this. So the cool thing is, once the game is over, we do have a post game that goes on, and in the post game I get XP rewards. It all depends on whether I win the game or not, how many things I actually get. But the loot roll, if I do control the field, is much higher, so I get more gold, and I can loot the bodies for their weapons and any magical items and things like that. All of that can come to me. But more importantly is that if I win the game on an enemy territory, that territory becomes my own. And so now I get what's called an exploration roll, where my forces now explore the terrain to see what benefits there are. Now, the exploration roll can work for me by giving me a lot more cool stuff, or it can work against me. Maybe we find a creature and that creature attacks us and whatever. So it's a cool way of adding more interest to the game. So the post game is very important. And then, of course, if I win and this terrain becomes mine, I get a campaign point as well. And at the end of the campaign, whoever has the highest campaign points is the winner. So it's an interesting system. All of this came out of a Song of Blades and Heroes, plus any house rules that I have. So I love playing this way. This is the way I like to play my solo campaigns. And the cool thing is that I can spend more time on one game and kind of learn that system a little better than if I'm just playing one shots. So it's really cool. All right, folks. Well, thank you for giving me the opportunity to talk to you about this game. And if you're interested, go check out our Patreon. I've made a ton of different changes to my Patreon, and we have more tiers. We have role-playing games there now and all that good stuff. And there's a cool chat where my patrons can kind of show their work and all that stuff. So I'm trying to make my Patreon a much more interactive experience. So yeah, we're having fun over there. So check it out. Also check out Scratch Builder Monthly, and all of these projects will, anything that I do for these campaigns in the coming months, any kind of builds, they go right into the magazine. Okay, so check it out. All right, thank you very much, folks, for your support. And now it's time to move on. My patrons now have to vote to see if what happens in the campaign next. I give them some choice votes. Is there going to be a side quest or not? And we only have like 2 or 3 games more to go, and that's it. The campaign's over and we move on. So Thank you very much, and I'll see you in the next video. Have a great one, and hey, whatever you do, enjoy your games. Have a great time.